Good morning, Sports Insanity Network's fans. It's Mark Oldofsky Halpern here on the Sports Insanity Network. It's Sundays mornings. It's batters up time, and along with me is my PIC, as he's always here for the six man up. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Let's get it. Batter up time here on a Sunday, Marky.
Yeah. And we're coming into the end of August. We like to say we are missing our Gary Cohen today. He was trapped in some trees and took down some power lines by him. We'll miss him today, but Mike the Pun Master will not be here. So I'm sorry. Dan and I will try to drop a pun or two, but he's
Yeah,
really the best at it.
I think we will call this broadcast booth Steve Gelbs and Ron Darling.
There we go. It's a great combo.
We'll, we'll
So,
we'll try our best.
yeah, we had a great story happen yesterday. And it's something I don't believe I've ever seen, and it happened with a player who was fourth pick a few years ago, was having a down year, up year, down year. JJ Bleday
There
hit
you
for the
go.
cycle last night in his first four at bats. Not four swings, but four at bats. He led off with a double, then a triple, then got the single, and then the Reds just kept piling on. And then he got a fastball dead in the center and he knocked it straight over. So hats off to JJ Bleday with the first time I've ever seen someone come up with four consecutive at bats and do it. I've seen four home runs in a game, but in five at bats.
Right. No, it's an incredible story. I mean, it's something that you rarely see in baseball. It's tough to hit for the cycle, let alone in your first four major league at bats. Like that's just unheard of in any part of baseball. And that last swing that we see there, you know, that was a line drive that we didn't even know was going to clear the wall. You know,
It
it
just carried.
double at the very least, right?
In most parts, yeah, that is a line drive double.
You know, so hats off to him, man. Like
Yeah.
it's an awesome story. You know,
It's a great story. And it is also, I mean, no offense to all the teams out there. It's just, it comes from a different side of the line, if you know what I mean. It's not the Yankees, it's not the Dodgers, it's not the Mets or the Astros. It's a nice Cincinnati Reds left fielder who had a
yeah.
horrible night the other night, striking out three times. I think he kind of made up for it in this.
Yeah, my boss, he's a Reds fan, so he would appreciate that. It's it's not easy for people in Cincinnati. So I think he would really appreciate that.
I'm sorry he did it when they were facing the Diamondbacks and they weren't at home, but still, what a performance from JJ, and congrats on your four home run day. And he joins a very small group. It's not a very big group, but joins a small
Yeah.
group of players who hit four home runs in a game.
Yeah. Well, four hits and yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah. Only the eighth Red in franchise history to hit for the cycle.
I, I I could possibly guess of another. I would say Pete Rose did it at one time at least.
Yeah,
I would say that, but
great guess.
now, sticking in the with the Diamondbacks, because that's where JJ Bleday had his day. The Diamondbacks have had a very second time situation with star second baseman Ketel Marte. Ketel Marte was absent and with no call in or call out or whatnot, what was going on, did not show up for the game. And there are multiple stories out, and it makes it hard to try to figure out which is the true story. If all of you don't know, a few years ago, he did the same thing because there was family trouble down I believe it was Puerto Rico. I could be wrong, with his family, and he went to go help and get the problem solved and did not tell organization. The story I'm going to go with, because I think it should be the most plausible, is that he stayed behind and they were trying to hide an injury to his knee. And then once they got clearance or whatnot, he flew back. Uh, Dan, that's the only news story that seems plausible, but still, it would not account for the fact is why they have no idea where he was.
You're gonna leave your teammates in the dark, bro.
Again,
That's the thing that is so weird is that he is literally like he mysteriously just left somewhere when the team was in Boston and then ghosted them. For what? That's the thing that confuses me. You're trying to, you know, especially now since the D-backs are in the playoffs, you don't want anything distracting your team from any type of good things happening. You know, this is what you're doing, bro. Like you're skipping out on your team. And look, they put him on the 10-day IL for knee inflammation, whatever the fuck that means. They weren't specific about it. It's just so weird. It it was just so weird that you just skip out on his team.
it makes no sense. I mean, obviously, if there was some injury, ownership would at least know and then
Yeah.
would pass the word down. And I would never buy that ownership dropped the ball and didn't tell anybody. It's very suspect. Again, this is not the first time he's done it, but we'll have to wait and see on the status of Ketel Marte and going from his
Lavulo, by the way, the manager, has expressed his frustration about it. And he has every right to be upset. You know, you're talking about like once again, you're you're trying to, you know, again have this season where you want to do well, you want to try to make the playoffs, you're in a tough division, your team is rolling, and you have Ketel Marte literally putting a thud into the franchise. It's very selfish of him. Very
It
selfish.
is.
And
It
look,
is.
it's not like he's having a great season. He only has 21 homers and 6, 7 RBI. It's okay.
And
It's not the greatest.
no, it's not the greatest, but when it comes down to it, he's probably one of the best second basemen defensively in baseball, and when he's on his game,
Exactly.
offensively, one of the best in the game there. But we'll wait and see until we get some type of information.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm sure there'll be a story drop.
And when he returns, if he returns, he owes his teammates an explanation in the clubhouse.
Yes, absolutely.
He owes them because that's bullshit. It's ridiculous.
We get on the players so much, but umpires make mistakes too, but they make mistakes with the wrong decisions, even with video replay happening. And I'm going to start off with we're going to go to Baltimore. And
My God.
my guy, Pete Alonso, is that bat. Mind you, I am not watching the game at the time. I am not watching the game because I'm too busy watching the Mets game. And since Adam Weinstein, shout out to Adam Weinstein, has been on the network, the Mets have been winning. So look for
Hmm.
Adam to be on much, much more. Go check out the recent video at W at on YouTube with Adam. It's almost hit over 1,000 views, and we're doing great on it. So thank you to him.
Mm.
Um, Pete Alonso was at the plate with a the normal look, that tight grip, and he hit a bomb. And the question was, this was almost like the Carlton Fisk play. It was Carlton Fisk running down the first base sideline, stay fair, stay fair, stay fair. Pete Alonso was already jogging, but then had to stop because it was going to be closer than he thought. And from the looks of it, it was declared a foul ball. Now, from those angles, and it coming as close as it did, tough call to make. However, in this day, we get instant replay. And that's where I'm going to turn it over to Dan to take over and explain the next part.
So they did go for instant replay, as they should. Um, and the ball, if you look at that ball, Mark, I mean, there was no question. It was like it was a trillion feet inside the foul pole, like a trillion feet inside the foul pole. It was close, but it was a trillion feet inside the damn foul pole. And um, I thought for sure Pete Alonso was going to be credited with the home run. The Orioles were going to take the lead, and um, the big bad Yankee confidence would have been shattered. I thought positively, and they looked at it for quite a bit. The umpires ended up upholding the call, which of course is look, and Pete Alonso, he's being nice about it. You know how he is. You know, he's a very nice, chill guy. He'll argue when he wants to, rarely gets ejected. He took the high road, went back to his at bat, struck out, and he gave his piece. Didn't didn't do much. He just accepted it and stuff. Um, but they decided to hold the call, and they said it was a foul ball. Mark, I'm telling you, if you look at that replay, it is clear as day. Clear as day. It was a foul ball. It was a fair ball. Sorry. It was a home run.
Yeah.
It was
And it
a
was the
home
go ahead
run.
home run.
And it should have been a go ahead homer. It's a disgrace. And
Yeah.
the reality is, with all the technology that we have today, it's unacceptable to get that uh call wrong.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with everything with Stat Tracker and all these capabilities. And they even ran it on MLB Network on Stat Tracker,
Mm-hmm.
and it showed the path of the ball. And I mean, anybody
By
looking at
a
it,
trillion feet.
it was going right over the pole. So it's a hard call to make. But
No.
like what Dan said, with today's technology, and you can literally slow it down to frame by frame, that ball crosses the pole there. And you can even see it
By a
right there.
trillion feet. Look at that.
Right there. That is a
That ball
fair
is
ball.
gone. That is a home run.
And mind you, if this was at Yankee Stadium, there would be more of an uproar. But this was in Baltimore. That ball was the go ahead home run, and the call was taken away even after looking at it. Whoever was in New York at that time needs to be fired.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
these replay
Whoever made
officials.
that judgment call needs to be fired without question.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing for the umpire to, well, but even the umpire, like, I'm sorry, like, was it that tough of a call down the line. Like it couldn't have been.
I think more.
But
I
but
think more.
I could give them the grace because whatever, he in the moment, you don't know where it's landing. The people in New York, come on, like there's no excuse.
You know. You know what's bad about it though, Dan? That it wasn't one umpiring crew that had a
Mhm.
problem.
Yeah. By the way, thank you, umpires. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Appreciate the victory.
yeah. I think I was gonna say, but I left it out. Dan was had no problem with the umpire call as it helped the Yankees gain another game
It was a bad
lead.
call, but I'll take it because the Yankees won.
Right, exactly. Something finally goes the Yankees' way, as of
What?
lately. But
Go ahead. Bad umpiring. Yes.
yes, during the recent game with the Marlins, Kyle Stowers hit a ball down the right field
Oh
line. Now,
my
this was a
God.
line drive, and you have bases loaded, and where the ball lands clearly fast in fast motion, hard to tell. But when you slow it down with technology and you see the ball, the ball does hit the line without question, and then scoots down into the back corner. Now, anybody knows with the speed that the Cubs have, I mean, sorry, the speed that the Marlins have on base at the current time might not be the greatest, but they can move. By the time everything was done, umpires were calling foul, they were ruling it off, and then instant replay. Well, here's what happens when it goes to instant replay. Mind you, this double would have taken the lead for the Marlins because it would have scored all 3 runs. But according to the rule book, if a challenge is overturned, it is counted by where the player would have ended up, in this case, at second base. What does that do for the runners on base? Well, the runners from second and third get the score, but that third runner has to go to third with 2 outs. That's bullshit. This was easily going to be a bases clearing double. The Marlins were going to take the lead. And again, with technology, I understand the rule, but it has to be closer looked at because this was a robbery as well, Dan.
It obviously it's the right call because while reviewable, and it is reviewable, um, the rule is double. It's a dumb rule because if it were a fair ball as it should have been called, it would have been yes to double, but 3 runs were going to score. The game was going to be tied. It was going to be a tie game, and unfortunately, Shane Livensparger, who was the first place umpire, um, for that game, said it was a foul ball. This is another situation, and I know, look, replay actually helped the Marlins here, um, but didn't help them enough. So it's an awful call. It's awful. You know, it completely changed the game. It completely
Yep.
changed how everything was gonna go because like I said, that would have tied the game. You don't know what the momentum is gonna be like afterwards. The Marlins are trying to creep back, and they did. So that's tough to swallow. Of course, the Marlins, they could have continued the inning and scored more runs and put some poetic justice into it, but
But that did not happen.
that didn't happen, and it wasn't going to happen. Because that's not how baseball works. In case anyone hasn't figured it out, when things don't go your way, like it's never going to go your way. I felt bad for Miami. I really
Yeah,
did.
it definitely should have been a basis clearing double. And instead of being 3 games out of the wild card, they now sit 4 with the loss, and
Yeah.
that's a bigger hole, especially with Arizona, San Diego, Philadelphia, and Chicago all ahead of them.
Yeah.
And we
And look,
know that.
I'm right with the fans. I'm like, well, this is trash. This is horrible. You give them the run, give them the run. It's like, but you can't. Like that's not how the rules go. You know.
Exactly. So that's it for bumbling umpires.
Yeah, I mean,
We talk-
there's bumbling umpires every day.
Oh
Um,
yeah, no, but we all have our favorites, who we wanted to kick straight in the nuts a few times. Angel Hernandez, that was me. I don't know about anybody else.
yeah, I
But
had quite a few, but they're retiring, so I'm gonna give them their time to retire.
they get a cup, huh? Oh, how nice of you. Well, as we're coming into the end of the season, we know what teams are in already, and the wild card is starting really to shape out in the NL, where the Chicago Cubs and Philadelphia have the decent lead, and it looks like that third spot could end up with about 3 contenders, maybe 4, depending how the rest of this August and the first week of September go for them. But Dan, we're going to start in the AL since you're more diverse in the AL than I am. The Yankees hold the 9.5 game lead
Mhm.
in the wild card, and right behind them at a 6.5 game lead is the Red Sox.
Yeah.
But for that third spot, there is one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 teams within 2.5 games for that third spot. Let's forget about the Yankees and the Red Sox. We know they're going to be okay right now. I mean, I can hardly see the Yankees and Red Sox not making it. But what are the X factors for teams like Texas, Cleveland, Minnesota, Baltimore, Detroit?
Mark, we have a whole month left of baseball. Are you sure you don't want the 7-game winning streak of the Kansas City Royals to be involved in this?
Oh, I love the Kansas City Royals. I love a lot of players on it. I would love them to play the upset. Could they make a run at it? We've seen teams that were
uh,
6 out do it. We've seen teams that were 6 out come
I
together and do it.
like, obviously Mark is right. For right now, you look at teams from Detroit and up because Detroit's 2.5 out and Kansas City's 7.5 out. But like
But
I said, they've won 7 in a row. So
hi, Summer, how are you, baby?
oh hey. Um so I'm not saying they're in it right now, but keep an eye. Just look at the Royals for a little while. You just never know. But for all these teams, it's all about the pitching because it's not like any of these teams, it- while they can score runs, they also give up a lot of runs. So for these teams, their pitching has to be on point. They cannot be giving up 5, 6 runs a night and more.
Would
Their
you,
pitching has to be solid. I'm talking quality starts, 3 runs or less, 6 innings. And obviously, with some of these teams, the hitting will do its work. You know, that's where I stand on it, at least. I think it's more pitching based than hitting based. They have
oh,
to shut down their opponents.
as we were talking at the beginning of the season, and I go back to a podcast done early this season,
Mm.
and it was basically who was going to be where, what was going to be the scenario. And the scenario that I came up with was that all 3 wild card spots were going to be owned by the AL East. I said it could happen.
Mm,
And I believe Dan was in agreement and Bill was, Mike was a little unsure. And I don't remember if Patch was here for that episode or not. But as you look at it with the standings, you know that Tampa's leading. Boston and New York own 1 and 2, and it's very possible either Toronto or Baltimore, because they're basically a game out of that third spot. It is possible we could see an all AL East wild card, Dan.
yeah.
What would that do for competition wise?
Well, first things first. We already know that the AL East is the toughest division in the American League, and it shows because three of the teams have near 80 wins. So it's just a testament on how the division is. Um, I put a damper onto the American League competition, if I'm being real with you. It already sucks now that you have a playoff team that's under 500. Like that already stinks. The idea that it could be in another American League East team is clearly something different, dude.
It's just the fact that, when you look how these teams were built. Now, mind you, I did not have Tampa in that first spot.
No. And of course, if the Yankees didn't run into Dylan Cease, the, let's come
It,
on, Mark. Like
it would
the
be the
Yankees are
Yankees.
creeping up there
I mean, well,
all of a sudden.
I'm gonna give the Yankees a lot of credit, and it's not something you hear out of me a lot. But since we were bashing them at the beginning of August, and Dan will know, I have no problem coming in on the bashing.
I
But
still have no problem bashing them. They're
if I can't talk on the good points, then I'm not a good sports analyst. The Yankees over the last 2 weeks have looked like they've played with Aaron Judge in the lineup. Now, obviously, we know he's not there, but the lineup
yeah,
has been doing what it needs to do with a combination of long ball and small ball.
yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, to be fair, they're running into teams like the Orioles and
right,
the Blue Jays. These are not good teams. Like,
but still without your commanding number 4 bat. Now, the far as I have read is that Judge has already started rehabbing in the team
yeah, he's
facility.
he's he's hitting off the tee right now.
Okay. So, as a player who used to stand and play after an injury, that says he's about 2.5 weeks, maybe less, before he starts a running program.
Yeah, and I think Cody Bellinger's back this week. That he might get
That's
into the
that
lineup
would be
today.
very big for the Yankees.
I would wait till the week starts when they have a new series. But let's see. You might be in lineup today. So
Yeah, I mean Bellinger, who was said to originally be out up to 2 months and came back. He's coming back a few weeks early. I don't know how much they're going to want to push him out of the gate, but they need his not only his bat in the lineup. His fielding is not. I mean, his fielding's not the best on the diamond, but it's much better than a lot others. But one thing about Cody Bellinger, even during
yeah,
his downtime in Los Angeles, is his presence in the locker room. He is a
he,
clubhouse
he
guy. I guess that's
he's
the term they're
tremendous.
going with today.
The
He is
Yankees
a
missed him.
clubhouse guy,
The
and
Yankees
he's the
missed him
one.
big time.
Yeah, he jokes around. He'll sit and play a game of checkers or something. He'll do practical jokes. It brings morale to a team, and when there's no morale, there's no want to win.
Yeah.
So that's a big, big piece for the Yankees.
Yeah, Max Schumann confirmed to have been optioned to AAA Scranton.
Okay, to
He
make
Cody
room for
Bellinger. Cody
Bellinger.
Bellinger is coming back.
That's great. I mean,
Yeah,
and trust me, I was hoping beyond hope that the Mets, once the Mets got Juan Soto, I knew it was an impossibility for them to go to Bellinger. But with the thought of Soto really going to the Yankees, I was focusing on the Mets going after Bellinger to play first base, which he can. That's where I would have wanted him, not in the outfield. But we saw what the outfield does. They pay $60 million for a guy to drop the ball. Jumping to the National League, we know who's in the lead. The LA Dodgers, not much of a surprise, but we have right now
Well,
six.
no, the Milwaukee has 81 wins.
Sorry, Milwaukee. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah, but the Dodgers have been playing a lot better baseball lately. So,
Right.
yeah.
And also, the Phillies are currently on an 8 game winning streak as well, as they have also propelled themselves into the second spot with a 2+ game lead with San Diego right now all alone in the third. But right behind them are four teams. Two, three have a chance. One would be like you find the one real golden coin in a stash of fake gold. The Pittsburgh Pirates have been on a tear, winning 8 games, as Dan alluded to earlier. Um, I apologize. That was KC. Uh, I'm allowed to
You're
make an
good.
error. Sorry, the Pittsburgh Pirates have lost two and are 7.5 games out,
Yeah.
but that's not out of a wild card run at this point. As you creep into September, which is again mere week away now, it gets harder. But you have to look at the teams that are behind. You got Arizona, which is a formidable opponent. That NL West is a strong division and should be represented by at least two other teams there. The Padres should definitely be there. I mean, without question. And so should Arizona with the teams they had, but it just hasn't come together. But they're 2 games out of that third spot. The team that has a chance to really do a rough turn because they have the easier schedule is the St. Louis Cardinals, who sit 4.5 games out. In the beginning of the season, the Cardinals were playing impeccably. They were at one point at the top of the NL Central. We knew that wasn't going to last, but 4 games is not a hard jump, Dan.
Yeah, the National League, I have to say that I'm very impressed with a lot of these teams. You already we already talked about the Brewers, the first team to 80 wins. The Dodgers will be second. They're on a tear. They won the last 5 games since they started since their struggles. So, obviously you could thank their games against Pittsburgh for that. They needed those get right games to get them back on track. Um, I'm looking right now while there has been clear cut separation. Right now, I'm still you're right. The Cardinals are still in it. But I'm really looking at the Marlins because they're trying to creep back into the race. And right in front of them is the Diamondbacks. Are 4-6 in their last 10. So they've been playing up and down baseball. Hasn't been great. Meanwhile, you know, Marlins are, about 500 and they're facing the Nationals. They're the team to watch because the Marlins are known to get hot late. So right now the Padres have to hold their own. And so far they've done so.
And
And just be on the lookout for those two teams, specifically the Marlins, though, because the Marlins are known to get hot pretty late.
and with the Marlins only 4.5 games out, how bad was that trade to trade Liam Hicks away?
I mean, he could be used in a lineup. I will say that. Like the Marlins can use him. But I think they've done a good enough job with the analytics and the managing that it's getting them by. You know, pitching has been pretty solid. Um, they're hitting the ball well. They're playing well against good teams too. So not saying they don't need him because they could use him, but they're serviceable without him, which is a good sign.
And as we look to the sad part of our Mets now dropped to 11 games back, even with that impressive win last night over Chicago, still
Yeah.
11 games out. We're not calling it until we see the official announcement from ESPN officially eliminated. The Mets are not going to give up.
You want to see the E next to the record.
I want the Mets to
You're
finish ahead of Washington. I want to finish in fourth place, and I think
mm,
that's doable.
mm,
I don't think the
yeah,
Mets are going to make
it's
the playoffs. They have a
they're
lot to do.
yeah.
Starting off getting a first baseman, and word out of from John Heyman and a few others is that Bo Bichette has changed his stance on leaving to go to any other team and opting out, and most likely, I don't want to say probably, and most likely looks to stay. When you're being paid as the most expensive third baseman in baseball, you don't, well, most expensive second baseman because that's how they signed him as. In baseball, don't complain. He's going to be
Yeah,
making almost $40 million next year, and he wants to go to a team that could eventually pay him less.
mm,
Um, so that's good news for the Mets. That's one less
yeah.
problem.
Just to give you an idea on their playoff chances, the best they can do is 91 and 71.
That's just if they didn't lose another game.
Correct, which is not gonna happen. They're
No,
gonna lose.
I wouldn't mind seeing a 22 game win streak to say we broke the Athletics number.
Sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. I mean, even that would be pretty cool. But
Sure.
the
But
Mets,
just to give you an idea on the climb that they have to get to, if they really want to make a playoff run, just to get to 90 wins, they have to win like 30 games. It's the Mets are not winning 30 games.
no,
It's not happening.
nope.
You
And I don't,
know,
and I don't disagree with you at all. The Mets, and
like
it's sad,
I feel
unfortunately.
bad for y'all because you guys went in and look, the team is coming together. The way David Stearns, and I know David Stearns gets a lot of crap. I'm no look, I'm guilty of it because what has he done? He's done nothing. Um, the way that it's forming together by guys that it wasn't necessarily drafted or signed by him, you know, um, the way it's forming out, it's starting to come together a little bit. I will say that they're obviously not going to keep the interim manager. They'll find somebody else. They'll find like an Alex Cora or whoever is available in the offseason to be the real manager and to really get this team going. You know,
Correct.
of course, my guy Mendy, like he just wasn't it. It's okay, Mendy. You can come back over to our side, and um, Aaron Boone will gladly give you back his bench coach spot. Um, but no, like I think Bench had a phenomenal night. Robert Jr. Hopefully he stays. Um, and then of course you got like I already said, Bench, Ewing.
And
Um,
Robert, there's right, center, and left.
like the hope is that the young core comes together, and then of course when you have Juan Soto, whenever he's playing, he'll do great. We're seeing the best month out of Lindor, which is
Yes.
like thank God because we were worried about him. Um, I think the Mets are looking up, and look, I know you don't want to hear, you want to put one now, which I get it, but it time
Yeah.
it'll be
It
there.
it look, it's gonna come together. we'll see what the Mets do in the offseason. And
I'm impressed by this run though. Like they're
yeah,
on,
so this
you
this
know,
has been a fun run to watch because you're getting to see a little bit of everybody shine a little bit. It's not just one player doing it all. It's a lot of players doing a lot of little things.
yeah. Well, I mean, even Senga going to the bullpen and not having as much pressure to start a game. It may not look like a crazy cool idea right now, but he's much calmer coming out as a reliever than he is as a starter. So if you could get into a point where he could be lethal as a reliever, the one uh and I know that this is probably going to be a stretch, but one person I'm thinking about, remember Koji Uehara? He was a
The name is
starter
familiar.
in Baltimore. The Red Sox turned him into a closer. He became one of the best closers in the league. Of course, long term, I don't know if that's going to happen. But like, I remember Koji Uehara when he would start games. He was brutal as a starter, but he came to Boston, became a closer, and it kind of, kind of the reverse effect for the Clay Holmes, where he was a reliever, then he became a starter, game slowed down. Now, I'm sort of thinking the same way with Kodai Senga, which is like you go become a reliever, everything slows down.
It's a take. It's six half. It's half of one, six dozen of another in so many ways.
Yeah,
Um,
just an idea. Again, it's not a crazy cool move. Like Senga hasn't been great. Like he
no,
hasn't.
but I'd like them in this role though. And then, as we pointed out, a back end, as long as Devin Williams can come back, okay. But a back end of Devin Williams and Kodai Senga could be a formidable way for a back end of back end of the bullpen. So we have some series to watch this week, and both of them, and we got some interleague ones especially. We got the Red Sox at the Marlins. The Red Sox can do they're really can do no harm to themselves except lose, but they can really knock Miami for a loop if they take this series and Miami drops two in the wild card standings.
Yeah, it's a big series for Miami. At home, facing a Red Sox team that's good. But though the Red Sox haven't necessarily played well over the last 2 weeks, they played okay. Like, so I think the Marlins have a really good shot here at, sort of disrupting what the Red Sox are doing while also helping themselves out and hoping for the best that Arizona or San Diego could, falter a little bit.
We have another game with playoff implications as the league leading Tampa Bay Rays will face the Detroit Tigers, who are there. They're just there. But there's
Mhm.
again another tough matchup because the Rays have just been winning and giving them
Mhm.
losses is not happening easily.
I will say this for the Tigers, you're running into a Rays team that is struggling. So that's the only good news. The Tigers they're not winning a lot of games as well. So um it's a shame.
We have a repeat of the trash can series between the Astros and the Yankees.
It's gonna be a tough one for the Yankees. The Astros always play them well. And while the Yankees have played good baseball, the Astros are leading in their division. And like I said, they always play the Yankees tough. So this is why getting Bellinger is great because now you have that power in that lineup that's desperately needed. And then, of course, you add to the mix, you have this Lombard guy who's just sensational.
Told
Um,
you.
I was hoping and praying Spencer Jones would stay up, and he is. Um, so he's been playing well. Yankee pitching has been solid. We're gonna miss Freed for a little while. Yankee pitching has been solid. So play the Astros tough. Astros gonna play you tough. I see like a series that could go either way.
We got a top match versus the division leader. We got the Dodgers at the Braves. This will be an actually really, really important series to watch as the Braves are going to lose all three. The
Yeah,
Braves have just not Braves have been very erratic in their gameplay over the last few weeks. Win
yeah.
some, lose some. I don't think they're beating the Dodgers this weekend.
Yeah, I mean they're running into really good teams. You ran into the Milwaukee Brewers this weekend, and then of course you're you're at home against the Dodgers. Dodgers are no stranger to tough environments. Like they're going to be fine, and they're playing good baseball. So it's you know
Their game with great implications. The Texas Rangers at the White Sox. The White Sox are currently it's so far split the series with the Mets at 1-1. Game three today, obviously, but
yeah.
this one is more. I mean, the White Sox are in control. I think the Rangers need this more than anything right now to make a pull up.
Well, they're trying to protect that third wild card spot, and when you're in protection mode, technically tied with the Guardians, but they have the lead over the Guardians based on whatever metric and stuff. Um, when you're in protection mode, you know, you start tightening up just a little too much, and the pressure gets onto you. Probably gets the best of you too.
Excuse me. And this one, yeah, elite, well, not the league leading, the division leading Chicago Cubs at the Arizona Diamondbacks. This is, I would say, is the face off of the week right here.
Yeah.
Two very good teams possibly can meet up in the playoffs. What do you think, Dan?
Like, I mean, you just mentioned a possible playoff matchup. I would say this is a major series for the Diamondbacks. If you're trying to get him back into the playoff race, like this is your series, and this is a good test. The Cubs are right now a playoff team, right?
Yes.
So treat this as it's a playoff matchup. Go out there and raise some hell.
We come to a more of a light-handed one, more important for the Orioles, in my opinion, but Orioles at the Cardinals, and this is one I think the Orioles can sweep if the hitting keeps up the way it's been.
The Cardinals are not very good. That's why I'm not necessarily creeping them into the playoff race, even though they're 4.5 out of their own playoff race. Yeah, Mark nailed it. This is a big series for Baltimore, and you know, unlike the Yankees, you can do something and help yourselves out by winning games against a St. Louis team, like I said, that isn't very good. While better than you because they're in the National League and the National League competition is tougher. Um, I think the Baltimore Orioles have some really good hitting in their lineup, despite them trading some of their big time players away in the deadline. Um, I really do think that they have some hitting there that could really help them out, and um, could probably give you a good series win here. That could, like I said, keep everything at bay.
And then the Phillies will face off at the Mariners. Seattle's still fighting their way in. Phillies are currently in the second place spot, but the Phillies have been so erratic with Aaron Nola not just being able to find what he's supposed to be.
Yeah. Despite that, winning in a row though. So
Yep. And on to next weekend, the Dodgers versus the Tigers, in which nobody wants Terry Skubal to pitch against his former team and embarrass him. So I'm expecting him to miss the series just because of that reason, but doesn't mean he won't face them.
Uh,
That's my managerial
funny.
move.
That's
Not to
funny.
fine. You let me walk. I'm
Uh,
going to come in and strike out 19 guys in a row.
what are the probables of that series? Is he a probable in that series?
I don't know. Would have to sit and look. I know he pitched like 1 or 2 days ago. So if that
He
stays in
might
effect,
be. He might be.
if that stays in effect, he wouldn't pitch Monday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and probably could play Saturday. That's a possibility. Padres at the Rays. Padres need this series very, very big to stay in the wild card lead.
Yeah, Rays too. No, look, me and Bill were talking about it. I think the Rays are going to win the division because the Yankees' luck isn't that good. But you don't want a September where the Yankees are right up your tail. Like you don't want that. The Blue Jays had that last year. It was a disaster for them.
Mhm.
They barely squeaked in as the division winner, but it was a disaster for them.
And then it happens.
Mm.
Dun, dun. Red
Uh,
Sox, Yankees. Mind you, both teams have a very good lead in the wild card, but somebody's going to lose either three
yeah.
games, 2 games, or 1 game in their standings.
Yankees got to get some separation with Boston before the series. If they can get at least a game, maybe two, it wouldn't be us because the Red Sox are good and they're going to play the Yankees well. So if we could, and this is the big series too,
Yep.
if we could get to like 5 games, I'll be okay with losing two, of splitting the series. I'll be okay with that.
We have the Mariners at the Blue Jays. Again, Mariners could be fighting still for that wild card spot, and same thing with the Blue Jays. So it's at home
Yeah.
in Toronto, which is a big venue and the Rogers Center is a big home crowd thing. Also, one day I must get a hotel room so I can watch the game from my room. I got to do that
Oh,
once. Got to
please.
just do that once.
Oh, can that would be awesome. You're in a hotel, you're watching the baseball. Like that's
You're
pretty
sitting
dope.
out on your balcony and it's looking
Like
right into the stadium.
ticket for what? Like, come on now.
That has got to be one of the greatest things. And Rangers, Brewers, and White Sox, Twins. Brewers have nothing left to prove. We know what they are. Rangers are fighting for a spot, and the same thing with the Twins. Will have to face off against the White Sox.
Yeah, obviously the Brewers have nothing to worry about. They're gonna make the playoffs. They're gonna be division winners. Um, so look, if you have to lose a series, you can lose that to the Rangers, which I don't think they will because the Brewers are just they're amazing. But if you have to, it's okay.
And that,
And then, like I said, the White Sox, you know, it's all about maintaining.
and that is going to be it for today's episode of the Sports and Batters Up on the Sports Insanity Network. Please follow us at www.thesportsinsανitynetwork.com for all your blogs and vlogs. Please go to the YouTube page, like and subscribe. Go look at the post. It's over 1,000 views. It's there for a reason. We are growing. Dan, what starts in less than 3 weeks?
The football, the football starts in less than
NFL
2 weeks.
Sunday sideline will be coming at you.
Yeah,
Dan,
we'll have you covered.
yep,
Like,
Dan, Mike, and I, the three come from baseball. We just changed our sport. We go right to football. And sometimes we do get some guest appearances from Bill and from Patch. Or you never know. We might get a Noah. You never know. Noah's a very busy guy, though, in Texas. So, we respect that. And he's still a member of this network no matter what, because he's still a very integral part in what he does. Um, Please, if you see something you like, you're interested in a topic, you see that we post, you want us to talk more about it, leave a comment for us. We would be more than glad if you think you could come on and get some good insight, send us an email at the network ad right on the email there. We would love to talk to you about having you on for a podcast. For Mark Goldupsky Halpern, along with Danny, Vice President Danny Boy Reginald, want to say goodbye. Go have a fun Sunday. Okay.